The counteroffensive of Ukraine has already started. Russia switched its attention to a completely different region. And what if Ukraine lets Russia do all these referendums in the east just to take back these regions immediately after, just to humiliate Russia even more? But more about all of this in a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian Dude, and I hope you'll have a wonderful weekend. And let's begin by looking at this massive explosion which happened in Kherson region, which is the result of Ukrainian HIMARS attack against one of Russian military warehouses. And in this video we can see two Russian destroyed S-300 missile systems which were found next to Zelenotropinskaya, and they were also destroyed thanks to HIMARS. But we can't also forget about Javelin systems, because in this video, which also came to us from Kherson, we can see a Ukrainian soldier destroying Russian military armored personnel carrier using Javelin. In addition to that, Ukrainians were also able to destroy one more military object of Russians in Nova Kakhovka. And just before I tell you another bridge that Ukrainian army damaged so badly that Russians are no longer able to use it, here is the video of Russians attacking the city of Mykolaiv from Kherson region. As you can basically see, Ukrainians are dominantly successful in the south at this very moment and are destroying military objects of Russia. And in response to that, Russia just continues to shell distant cities. Alright, so now speaking about the bridge. As you might already know, Ukrainians were able to damage so much this Antonovka bridge, which basically means that at this very moment heavy machinery can no longer use this bridge. But if we go a little bit to the north, here we can see this small village of Darivka, and next to it there is another bridge. And it has been reported that Ukrainians have sent 7 missiles against this bridge, which basically means that this bridge is also no longer to be used by heavy machinery. As a result of these attacks against these two bridges, it will be extremely hard for Russians to get reinforcements into Kherson region. Some people might even say, but okay, what about the railroads? And for this, I also have an answer for you. If we go a little bit to the east of this region, to the north of Melitopol, to the small city of Novobogdanovka, we can see that Ukrainians were able to damage the railroad tracks. And by the way, these white lines on the map right now, these are the railroad tracks across Ukraine. And as you can see, this small city of Novobogdanovka is basically on the intersection of these rail tracks. Which basically means once again that damaging these tracks will make it extremely and unnecessary difficult for Russians to send reinforcements, including to the Kherson region. In several seconds I will start talking about the ongoing counteroffensive of Ukraine, but before this I think it is worth mentioning that at this very moment in Kherson region, Ukraine is controlling major highways. Mainly because Ukrainians are doing several diversions, they mine the roads and do some ambushes. And as you can see, the result of all of this is that it will be almost impossible for Russians to send reinforcements to the south. What I mean by that is that Ukraine almost completely destroyed two major bridges in this area, they also damaged the railroad tracks, and they're always controlling the highways which lead inside Kherson region. Okay, and now a couple of words about the counteroffensive. The representative of Israel Defense Forces, Igal Levin, he is saying that in fact the counteroffensive of Ukraine has already started. It is just we don't see much of its progress yet. He then also added that at this very moment already 44 cities, towns or villages are already liberated in the south of Ukraine. This is also indirectly confirmed by the advisor to the president of Ukraine, Alexei Arestovich, who is saying that according to his intelligence, Russians are doing massive repositions of their forces to the south of the country, which in basic understanding means that in the very nearest future we might see that Russians started switching their attentions from the east to the south of Ukraine. This is basically the attempt of Russians to do everything possible not to lose the control over the south of Ukraine, but you already know it, the logistics is very disrupted for Russians in the south, which basically means that relocation will take way longer than anticipated. And also, according to the military expert Mikhail Samus, in order for Russia to give itself some time, they might start once again shelling distant cities. And so, the most recent shelling of Dnipro city, where last night 2 missiles exploded, probably confirmed confirms this statement. And now let me ask you this question. Do you think Ukrainians will allow Russians to do referendums in these occupied territories? Specifically what I'm talking about, Luhansk, Donetsk and probably Kherson region. And before I tell you why it might be a genius plan of Ukrainians to humiliate Russians even more, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you like this style of daily updating. Alright, so first of all, you already probably know about these upcoming separation referendums in Luhansk and Donetsk. And last week it was also reported that Russian infiltrators in this region restricted the access to Google and YouTube on the territory of these regions to, as they thought, contain the spread of misinformation. In addition to that, it has been reported that Lugansk region has already started using Russian phone codes. The next similar event comes to us from Zaporozhye, where it has been reported that the newborns are already receiving Russian birth certificates. In addition to that, if we go a little bit to the south, the mayor of Melitopol, Ivan Fedorov, is saying that the city is actively preparing for this separation referendum as well. And he also said that Russian infiltrators in this region, they threaten every single resident who is not going to participate in this referendum. They will be taken away from the Zaporozhye region in unknown direction. And just when you thought this is already ridiculous enough, let's now go to the west, to Kherson region, where it has been reported that Russian infiltrators are now prohibiting to use Ukrainian currency hryvnia, and they're saying that the only official currency from now on is Russian ruble. Alright, and now pay attention, because this is very important. These separation referendums, they're supposed to happen somewhere approximately in the middle of September. And then we have this statement by Ukrainian politician Sergei Khlany, who is saying that according to his sources from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Ukrainians are planning to completely liberate Kherson region in September. So my main question here is as following. Do you think Ukrainians will allow these pseudo-referendums to happen just so that they can take back their own territories and humiliate Russians? Because just think about this, if Ukrainians take back the south and east right now, this is basically them defending their own land. But if Russians pronounce these territories as their own territories and then Ukraine will take it back, then there will be no more narrative that Russia was able to defend and protect these people, which basically will not allow Putin to claim full victory in Ukraine in case this happens. We might not know it yet because these are just my assumptions, but think about this can be a genius plan for Ukraine to claim unconditional victory in this war. And now let me tell you a couple of words about the most recent shelling of the seaport in Odessa, and even though you might think that you already know everything there is to know about this event, I do have some probably facts and footage that you haven't seen before. To begin with, last Friday, Russia and several other countries, they signed this deal about safe export of wheat from Ukrainian seaports. And in less than 24 hours, Russia has sent 4 missiles to destroy the seaport in Odessa. As you can see from this video, Russians have launched 4 Kaliber missiles from Black Sea. 2 of these missiles were intercepted by Ukrainian air defense systems, but unfortunately 2 of them reached their final destination. In the very beginning, Russians were kinda hesitant to acknowledge these attacks, although until the statement by the representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Maria Zakharova, who basically said that yes, we did it. She said that obviously the target of this attack was the military object of Ukraine, but she did not yet specify which one was this. And I guess it was at this very moment when Vladimir Putin himself, he was something like this. Oh no, what did you say? You were not supposed to say this. We're only liberators, we're not offenders. Why did you say it? And I mean, at this very moment it will be way too obvious for her to suddenly disappear. That is why the Ministry of Defense of Russia had to confirm this attack. And so right now, according to the Ministry of Defense of Russia, the following Ukrainian military objects were destroyed. These were the Harpoon missiles, 1 military boat, and boat repair warehouse. In less than 15 seconds I'll start talking about everyone's favorite ridiculous Russian propaganda, and while you have this time, please consider checking my Discord, because this is the place where I'm going to be making big announcements in the nearest future. And in addition to that, we as a community constantly donate money to Ukraine at the end of each month. And if you want to be a part of this group donation, please make sure to check my Patreon. All the links can be found in the description. Welcome to another episode of ridiculous Russian propaganda. And today we have this video by the Ministry of Defense of Russia, which is basically showing that, look at this is how much love we put into Ukraine. And at the same time, look at these greedy American capitalists who were infusing this poor little country of Ukraine with their Western weapons. And it was Russia, and Russia alone, this white knight on the white horse, which started saving the people of Ukraine from becoming these Nazis. The video ends with this suggestive phrase which goes as following: nationalism is very bad for your health. Which is basically the same thing that you see, let's say so, on the packs of cigarettes. And so, since we're speaking about cigarettes right now, this is the way this video is interpreted, at least by me. Okay, let's say so we have two young men, and one represents Russia and other represents Ukraine. And then a third man appears, who is this greedy American capitalist. And he basically starts giving cigarettes to this Ukrainian guy. Ukrainian guy starts smoking and obviously starts having health problems. And in response to that, our Russian guy starts beating the hell out of this Ukrainian poor guy, beating him almost to death. And then, when this poor Ukrainian guy can barely breathe and definitely is not even thinking about smoking anymore in his life, the Russian guy approaches and says, "You are welcome, you are now smoke-free." Oh yeah, this was truly a long episode, more than 1 hour recording, and if you reached all the way until this moment, you are a true hero. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider becoming my channel member. This Saturday I will also do my charitable livestream, and all the updates about it will be in my Discord. Thank you so much for your attention, check the links in the description, stay safe and see you tomorrow.